Tech Sideline is presented by First Bank and Trust Company, the bank that puts you first. They can meet your banking and financing needs for personal, agricultural, business, commercial, mortgages, and so much more. Visit firstbank.com to learn more.
Men's basketball declined a NIT invite. The women's basketball team is part of the bracket. Wrestling is ready to go to Cleveland, and Diamond Sports are active. Let's talk about all of that and more on episode 474 of the Tech Sideline podcast, which starts right now. We're recording on Monday, March 16th, 2026 from the Tech Solutions Studio in the Virginia Tech Corporate Research Center. If you're watching the show on YouTube, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and refer the show to a friend. I'm your host, Riley Klaus, and today I'm joined to my left by lead analyst and columnist, Chris Coleman. Across the way, our founder and general manager, Will Stewart. To my right, managing editor David Cunningham, and producing the show behind the scenes, as always, is Mr. Nick Brown. Today's episode is brought to you by Lunch Pail Ventures. We're going to lead off the show with the news that men's basketball, after seeing their hopes of making the NCAA tournament decline in Charlotte, they decline an invite to the NIT.
Before one was extended.
Yes, exactly. Why would the team do this, and what are the thoughts on this decision?
I mean, more and more teams are doing it these days. I don't like it. I think when you donate to the athletic department, when you buy tickets, there's one basic requirement, and that's to be able to watch your team play. So for them to choose to not play is, to me, kind of a slap in the face of everybody who donates and buys tickets. The reasoning they put in their article was, recovery.
In their social media.
Social media, it was not an article.
Correct.
It's like they don't even want to write an article about it because I think they're embarrassed.
Or have a press conference about it.
Right. So they just buried it in the social media post. So if you're a Tech fan that doesn't have social media, which a lot of our older fans don't,
They're
you probably
all over
didn't
a
even know
message
it.
board. That is correct.
Right. So I don't like it. Some of their reasoning in there was player recovery. I mean, Hansberry was going to miss the tournament anyway. So he wasn't going to be practicing. Tyler Johnson, his minutes were going up, right? Was he over 20 minutes in the ACC tournament? Yeah. It sure seemed like he was, right? So he's pretty much back to full speed. So I don't think that flies. And some guys preparing professionally. Yeah, okay, yeah. I'm sure Neo voted no, because we heard they let the players vote. Yeah. Right. You don't even let it come to that, I don't think. But and then on another line on there, it's like, we believe this to be in the best long-term interests of our program, and basically saying declining this bid will help make us better. And I don't see any factual evidence of that. I went back and looked at the teams who declined the NIT last year, and they all combined to go 160 and 169 this year. None of them made the NCAA tournament, and only one of them had a 20-win season. You could argue that most of them actually got worse. Like, some of them fired their coaches. Pitt is in there. They're one of those teams, and Jeff Capel has the hottest seat in the country. So, I don't know. I just think it shows a lack of competitive desire. And if you can't close out your season, then maybe that explains why they couldn't close out some games. So I was disappointed.
I'll freely admit I'm having a bit of an old man yells at clouds moment over this, because I don't like it either. Ultimately, we enjoy watching Virginia Tech compete, whatever the sport is. There's a few sports I won't watch anybody compete in, but I enjoy watching Virginia Tech compete. So you're disappointed that they chose not to compete. And I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, the NIT is fun, the NIT matters. It's not really about that.
Not about the NIT.
It's about getting to see the team play.
Right.
So I had this discussion with somebody, and they're like, well, you got players hurt. What if they had chosen as a program to play and, not casting aspersions, I don't know anything, and Neo and Toby opted out and said, fine, you guys play in the NIT. I'm not going to play. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's not setting up well to be competitive, but think about it this way. If you host a home game and you're out there and you're playing with Gerdak starting and Ben Hammond and, list everybody else who's available and they're playing, The fans love seeing those guys out there being committed and wanting to play. It's just like watching that triple overtime game against UVA. Gerdak had 17 points and 19 rebounds, and you're just and Hammond has 30 points, and you love those guys. So it's an opportunity to connect with the fans that is missed. And I get that a lot of people are like, well, it doesn't matter. It's just like bowl games. And you and I have had many discussions about bowl games and how they're getting pretty meaningless. And I was thinking this morning, one difference between declining the NIT and not choosing to go to a bowl game is, in the NIT, you're actually trying to win a championship. It's a tournament, you're seeing how far you can go.
And Tech didn't deserve a bowl game that year. They went 5-6.
Yeah.
And it was different that year because you were going to get locked in a hotel like a prisoner for a week.
We're talking about the Fuente year. Right.
Yeah. This is an actual competitive tournament.
Yeah. And so everybody's like, well, they should just not play the NIT. And of course, the cynical part of me, and I said this on the message board this morning, it's like, I don't know. What kind of TV contracts are in place for the NIT? What kind of sponsorship contracts are in place? How much money does the NCAA make? Because in case you're not aware, the NCAA now runs the NIT. That happened years ago. So there's all kinds of dollars changing hands. Just like there is with these crappy bowl games that nobody watches, there are TV contracts and sponsorship contracts in place.
Right.
So don't bark up that tree. That's not going to happen. So and then you see other programs that are opting out. There's a list of them on our basketball message board this morning. Florida State. David, do you know
Indiana?
Florida State
They've
did
done it 2 years in a row.
Belmont did, but Belmont did because its head coach left and took the Kansas State job,
right?
Which is a little bit of a different situation. And also, they were trending towards the NCAA tournament. You mentioned Florida State, and we were just talking about it. Florida State's one of the hottest teams in the country.
That's stupid. They would win the NIT.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead and play that damn thing and win it, right?
Yeah. I look at this. We had been texting about it. Me, Nick Carter, Andy, and David Teal.
I'm not part of that text group. Are you Kenny Brooksing me?
This is our talk.
You're Kenny Brooksing me.
This is our talking with Teal group. And Carter went back. If you saw David Teal's tweet, Carter went back and found a clip from 2 years ago at the ACC tournament. He said he just happened to have it, and it's Carter, so I believe him. But it's a clip from the 2024 ACC men's basketball tournament. Hokies lost to Florida State in the 8-9 game. They weren't going to make the NCAA tournament. Mike Young was asked by David Teal if the program would welcome an NIT bid. And he said, absolutely, to play in the postseason, sign me up. We all want to play in the big one, but to coach these guys again and make a run at that thing, you're doggone right. I'm never going to be too big for my pants to play in the NIT. And that was 2 years ago.
The damn internet lives forever,
yes,
folks.
And I don't. My feeling is I don't believe that Mike Young would have had a change of heart, right? Like Mike Young is a guy who's been doing this for 30 years. Like he wants to coach these guys no matter what, doesn't matter where, give them a ball and they'll go play. And but it's just so interesting how this stuff changed because they played in the NIT that year.
They did.
I thought Chris made a great point in his column about what it means in this era when you are asking for people to donate to your program. You are asking people to invest. And Virginia Tech men's basketball gets a lot of money from revenue sharing, but it also gets a chunk from NIL, which means it's getting money from actual donors. Mm-hmm. And how, as a donor, do you feel if you are putting your money in and then the team is not playing in all of the games it has an opportunity to compete in? It is declining to participate more. What was the phrase you used? I wish I set my money on fire.
Yeah,
instead.
I sent them a program-specific donation this year, and not for NIL, but just for the program itself. And I did it because, number one, as we know, of all the public schools in the ACC, they're the lowest supported in terms of funding into the program. And we know that from the BOV presentation this past August. And so I have sympathy for them because of that. And I had sympathy for all the injuries they had this year. So I thought rather than, just sitting around and complaining about it, I'd try to be part of the solution than part of the problem. So I made a program-specific donation this this year, and then they just turn around and we're not going to play in the NIT. And it's not about the NIT again. And it's really the same article I wrote about baseball, not televising non-conference baseball games this year. Not very many people watch those. So in the grand scheme of things, no, it doesn't matter. But it's just another example of this athletic department failing to connect with the fan base. And
failing to place the fan base first.
Like the motto of this school is "Ut prosum," that I may serve, and they're not serving the fan base in all the ways. They hired James Franklin, which is great. 100% support that hire, but I think most of us realize that there are deeper issues than in that athletic department than who the football coach is.
Yeah, I mean, you described it in your article as between declining an NIT bid and choosing not to stream non-conference baseball games, the athletic department is completely letting the fans down. They are pushing us away rather than drawing us closer. They aren't serving us the way we deserve to be served. And I agree. I mean, it's ultimately, I can understand why some of the players wouldn't want to play.
Right.
Like, oh man, it's been a long season, lots of injuries. I'm frustrated. This isn't what we wanted. The goal, I mean, we talked about it, I think with Teal. Jaden Shute said after the game, I can't believe we're having this conversation. But
what conversation? What did he make?
Asking about, would you guys want to play in the NIT? Because their goal was always the NCAA tournament. And I get that. But I feel like you have the players, the fans feel like in the fans' mind, the players have a duty to the fans to play in games. Like, the fans are the ones supporting you, and you let the fans down by declining an invitation.
What's the poll numbers?
I'm looking it up.
Yep.
Yeah, go ahead.
77% disagree with the decision to decline the bid.
Mm-hmm.
18% don't care. 5% agree with the decision.
So only 5% agree. And if you read down through the comments, which, by the way, there's over 100 comments. I don't think I've ever gotten
119.
I don't think I've ever gotten that many comments on a basketball article before. Even some of the ones who said, well, I voted, I don't care, but I only voted that because something. Basically, they said, I care, but I voted, I don't care. For whatever random reason. But only 5% of people agreed with the decision. And like, this wasn't a free article. This was a subscription article. And the vast majority of our...
Let me add context for podcast people. We're talking about a poll that Chris put in the bottom of a column that he wrote about not wanting to go to the NIT. And the question was, how do you feel about Virginia Tech declining an NIT bid? And the choices were, I disagree with the decision, again, 77%. I don't care, 18%. I agree with the decision, 5%. That's 1,266 votes. So that puts context for everything. So go ahead.
Yeah. And, our subscribers these aren't like random people like on social media that don't buy tickets,
have no skin in the game,
don't have any skin in the game.
Just mouth off all
like we've run surveys in the past. Like we've got some high rollers on our site, and the vast majority of them either donate or buy tickets. So that's not just random people who don't donate anything, right? I got a text last night from a subscriber who read the article, and he's a donor, and I'm going to paraphrase what he texted me. You're
going to remove the profanity?
Something like that. Let me find it. I'm really getting sick and tired of the way they do business. My wife and I were going to pull the trigger on a scholarship next year, meaning an endowed scholarship, but now we are not going to do it. It's just he's pretty disgusted with how the athletic department is run, and it's just a bad look.
It is.
They didn't do themselves any favors for that. Mm-hmm. Like, I get that some of the players don't want to play in it. But I don't know that this didn't happen. But what you have to do as a head coach and as an athletic director, you have to sit down with those players and say, we need to play in this, and here's why. You explain all those ramifications, right? And then I think if you do that, you probably guilt them into playing. Is probably the end
Which
result.
Isn't going to make them the most productive when they're on the court.
No, but I think...
But maybe they learn something from it. You
so.
know what? I need to think about something else besides myself right now.
Right. So, and I don't want to harp on this all off season or any more than today. But to me, it was just... It's like because I don't want it to make it any more toxic than it is. But to me, like... I sat there for, I wrote that article like 45 minutes. It was insane how quickly I got it. But then I spent 15 minutes deciding what to call it, and I couldn't decide. And I'm just like, how do I feel? I feel let down. Okay, so that's what I called it, feeling let down. And that just basically describes my feeling. I feel let down right now as a fan.
Somebody asked me, well, what if they play the game, but they're guys who don't want to play? It's like, all right, I'm sure this is not the first time in sports that people don't want to play. I think back to just to take like the last decade of Virginia Tech sports. I'm sure there were many times in a variety of sports, whether it was football or men's or women's basketball, where you had players who did not want
you could see
to play.
it in the
Look at
results.
Malcolm Delaney's tweet. Did you see his tweet?
Yes, I can read.
He actually said there are times where he didn't want to play.
Well, he talked about the NIT his senior year specifically.
He didn't want to play.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he added Seth Greenberg in it.
I'll pull up.
David's gonna pull it up
I'll
and
pull
read
up Malcolm Delaney's tweet when Twitter starts working. But I thought there have been so many times in the past where it's like I'm sure players did not want to play, but it's like you have a duty to play. Malcolm Delaney's tweet was, he quoted the graphic that Virginia Tech men's basketball put out on Twitter. He said, "Remember senior year after getting snubbed in our senior class going into Seth Greenberg's office," and he added Seth, telling him we wanted to pass on the NIT. He didn't force us to do anything, but told us that we put in too much work as a class to walk away like that. And it was a group of guys following us, ready to take over the keys, and it was bigger than us. As much as I didn't want to play, we found a way to. Can't say I loved it, but it was bigger than us. College basketball is more about the players, not the programs now.
Malcolm Delaney gets it.
Malcolm Delaney got it.
Yeah.
But I just think about, so like there are always it's sports, right? There are always going to be people who have varying opinions on how dedicated they are, how invested they are. That's the way sports work.
Sports is about pulling yourself up and doing things you don't want to do.
Well, those are supposedly
That's what the entire off-season training.
those are the life lessons you get taught by sports.
Right.
Yes.
Or you're supposed to get taught by sports.
Yeah.
And this, what I'm about to say, has nothing to do with the fans, but we all played sports when we were younger, and we practiced a lot, and we all couldn't wait for the games to actually get out there and compete. And so that's another. Now I get it's different with basketball. They've played 30, 35 games. Maybe they are feeling a little
ended up playing
fatigued.
32 games.
Yeah, so it's not like football. Like when I played way back when I played Little League, we played 7 games. Mm-hmm. And we practiced 50, 60, 70 times to play 7 games. So I really treasured playing the games.
Yeah, I mean, I actually was texting my dad about this. I think back to like when I was playing high school soccer, and our team, our high school, 4 years in a row, we lost in the regional semifinals. Meaning we were had we won one more game, we would have gone to states. But we fell 1 game short 4 years in a row, my freshman through my senior years. But I just think back to those moments and like, man, I wish I could have gotten one more game with those guys. Yeah. And I'm sure there's some guys in the locker room that wanted to keep playing. But there's always going to be people who don't want to play. That's just the way it is. Like Virginia Tech, when it went to the Final Four in women's basketball, there was a specific player on that team who did not want to be there.
That's funny.
But like you can't. You got to weather the storm, and you can't let that impact you. I'm serious. Like there are always going to be forces driving against you, and I think the beauty of sports usually is you stick together. And honestly, more than anything, I feel for the fans and the donors who have put a lot of time and money into this team. And it's just, again, it's not, as Chris said, it's not the principle of the NIT. It's like you got to play the games when they're put in front of you. Yeah. It's your job. Like, you put money into this program. Fans put money into this program. They pay to see you buy tickets. They buy tickets to see you play. So you got to go play.
Another random example from the athlete perspective is I remember when my son Malcolm was running outdoor track when he was a sophomore. I remember going to see, it was probably like regionals. Sorry, folks, I don't remember how things break down, but basically the Radford high school kids were there and they were running to make the state meet. And there was this one kid who was a senior and was good at something, and he did not do well that day and didn't get to go to states. And I said something to Malcolm about it later. I was like, oh, that's a shame. So-and-so didn't make states, his senior year. And Malcolm's like, he didn't want to. He tanked it on purpose. And I was like, really? And he's like, yeah, graduation was this past week. He doesn't want to go to states. He's done. And so it happens.
Yeah.
Now track in an individual sport, you can opt out by running a little slower than you usually run, right?
Chris, I thought your example of football from the 2019 season was pretty good too. You mentioned the, I will start it and I'll let you take over. You said after a few players rebelled in late 2018, Justin Fuente changed the way he ran the program in January 2019 and started doing things the players' way. That's where the turkey bacon joke was born.
Yeah.
But you said more than that, he gave away control and the players took it and ran with it. And then they started 2-2, and Fuente, after that blowout loss to Duke, told the team, we've been doing it your way and it's not working. Now we're going to go back to doing it my way.
Somebody in the program told me, I think we played Furman. That was one of those 2 wins. He said in the entire Fuente tenure, now this was somebody who was here under Beamer and under Fuente, and he said in his entire time at Tech, halftime in the Furman locker room is the worst he's ever seen. It's the worst halftime because Tech played terrible that day. They played just as bad as they did against Duke. They were just playing Furman.
Right.
And then after the Duke game, they beat Miami and won a bunch of games in a row.
They got up 28-0 on Miami? In like one quarter?
After the Duke game, Fuente told the team, okay, we've been doing it your way, and it hasn't been working. Now we're going to go back to doing it my way. In other words, shove your turkey bacon, right? We're going to go back and play football the way, or I'm going to coach football the way it's supposed to be coached and not let you run the program for me. They ran off like 6 or 7 wins in a row, and I think they would have won out if they hadn't lost Hendon Hooker and Caleb Farley to injuries at various points.
Yeah, they lost at Notre Dame.
It's just such a fine line.
Yeah.
So that's also my concern in this is, you let them start voting on things, and what are they going to decide they don't want to do next?
Practice.
Right.
Well, but not just this team. I mean, think about it. If you're another athlete at Virginia Tech, and you're like, oh, they're not participating,
right? And think about it. Let's say Ben Hammond voted that he wanted to play, right? And then a couple of his teammates that are coming back next year voted they didn't want to play. How does he start looking at those players? Well, they cost me an opportunity to keep playing basketball. Ben Hammond's playing really good basketball right now. He's got an opportunity to keep practicing, keep playing, keep getting better, things like that. So I just think it leads to too many negative things. But honestly, I think we've beat this situation.
Well, I will close with this then. This is just another instance of the power in college athletics continuing to shift to the athletes.
Right.
And I don't want everybody to listen to this and go on the warpath, against individual athletes and poison social media and things like that. It's just, it all kind of fits in the same category.
Well, we'll talk about a team that will be playing in the postseason right after a word from our sponsor at Lunch Pail Ventures.
Hi, this is Bud Foster. I want to tell you about something I'm really proud to be a part of, Lunch Pail Ventures. It's a community built by Hokies for Hokies, bringing together alumni, investors, and business owners who believe in building something bigger. Lunch Pail Ventures creates access to private investment opportunities and connects a growing network of Hokie entrepreneurs. It's all rooted in the Lunch Pail mindset: hard work, teamwork, and giving back through investing, events, and community. If that sounds like you, learn more and join us at lunchpailventures.com. And go Hokies.
Thank you, Lunch Pail Ventures. Now let's talk about the women's basketball team who will be in the NCAA tournament as a 9 seed, taking on the 8 seed Oregon on Friday at 1:30 p.m. in Austin, Texas. What are your thoughts on the draw for the region and where they were seeded?
I think it's awesome that they made it. I think it was a great step from last year where they were the first team out, as we know. I think it's good progress in Megan Duffy's second year. I think they did a good overall job this year. I think it's unfortunate they're in the 8-9 game, which seems to happen more times than not in Virginia Tech's athletics history. David, do you have those stats?
Well, we were just talking about it. So this is the fourth time the women have made the tournament 14 times now. This is the fourth time they've been a 9 seed. The men have made the tournament, what do we say, 11 times, and they've been an 8 or 9 5 times.
Oof.
Right. Yeah,
So-
so it seems like more times than not you're getting caught in that 8-9 game,
The
which is
seed of
incredibly
death.
frustrating.
Particularly in women's basketball, where the ones just dominate.
Yeah, exactly. So very, very happy that they're there, though. And that's a winnable game in the first round.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think we knew they were going to be on the 8-9 line, and being in the, they had the selection show watch party at the University Club yesterday. I thought that was really cool. Just the setup. Megan Duffy and Carly Wenzel were on talking with Evan Hughes for about half an hour leading up to the show. Kind of like a mini Megan Duffy show in a way. And then, all the attention turned to the screen and everybody kind of gathered around in the corner. And it never gets old, seeing team's name come across the screen and the jubilation. And I think this is if you're in an 8-9 game, it's never going to be a great draw just because you're playing one of the best teams in the country. Texas has only lost 3 games this year.
Maybe we'll get lucky and play TBD.
So the 16 play-in game is I think it's Stephen F. Austin and Missouri State. Texas has only lost 3 games, 1 to South Carolina, 1 to LSU, and 1 to Vanderbilt. And all 3 of those teams are number 1 or number 2 seeds in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah.
But this is the path you draw if you are, kind of in this spot. Huge year for the ACC. ACC got 9 teams in, most ever in a tournament.
Do you know off the top of your head how the other conferences did?
No,
The SEC got 22 teams in, right?
Probably. I don't know off the.
Okay, that's fine.
I did not. I
That's
don't
all.
have the
I
numbers
was
in
just
front of me. I
asking
just
if
know
you-
that. I mean, it was a good year. It was a good year for the league. Clemson, for example, is in an 8-9 game and is in South Carolina's region. So if Clemson wins 1 game, it's playing South Carolina.
Yeah, the reason Virginia Tech's not in Columbia is Clemson is in Columbia, which I get,
Which makes
man.
sense.
It's a rivalry. If they make it through that first game, they will get to play South Carolina. It's a rivalry. Clemson's even closer to Columbia than Tech is, so I get that.
Yeah, I think they should make the women's games as regional as possible.
And that's what they try.
So they try to
do.
Right. The bottom of that bracket is awfully juicy.
Kentucky and JMU.
And West Virginia. Right?
Yeah.
It's a shame that the path goes through Texas, because Virginia Tech, if they could get to the Sweet 16, they'd be most likely matched up against somebody that's really interesting.
Yeah.
I'd actually be calling up the NCAA and be like, can you flip us in JMU? We'll take the 12 seed. That'd be fine with that.
That's juicy for obviously the former head coach of Virginia Tech, who is a JMU alum and only ever played JMU once after he left Tech, which was in the WNIT.
That's right.
Virginia Tech lost last time and played JMU.
Well, they lost the last 2 times.
But under Kenny Brooks.
Oh, and they lost this year also.
Yes,
Yeah.
but with West Virginia, the last time Hokies played there was also in the WNIT and lost. So obviously there's some familiarity there. As far as the Hokies go, I think this is in terms of Oregon, this is probably as good of a draw as they could have had. They could have. You're really saying, would you rather go to Storrs or Columbia or
Los Angeles.
or Los Angeles or Austin, Texas?
There are no good answers.
Texas kind of like the in between.
Well, if you're going to play, let's say Tech gets to the second round, if you're going to play a 1 seed in the second round, you might as well do it in Austin, Texas, as opposed to those other places.
Yeah, I mean, UConn is the overall number 1 seed, and we know how good South Carolina is. Texas is the SEC tournament champ, though. You get to this point, all those 1 seeds are going to be really, really good. I think in terms of the Oregon matchup, they are 2 really balanced teams. I think this is one of the best matchups for the Hokies, as opposed to some of the other 8 seeds they could have gotten.
Are you saying because, why is that? Oregon doesn't have a dominant post player,
Well,
which would be
I believe Clemson is the other 8 seed. So like the Hokies couldn't have, obviously gotten Clemson, but Oklahoma State is one of them, and Oklahoma State, it shoots more threes than almost anyone in the country. So that's in turn, like they're really, really, really good at that. And Iowa State is the other and has Audie Crooks, who's that huge post player. They are a top 10 adjusted offensive team in the country because they play through her. It's honestly, in some ways, very similar to what the Hokies were with Liz, where everything is built around her inside game, dominant post player. Oregon is very similar to Virginia Tech. You're talking 2 top 25 defenses. The Hokies are about 25th in adjusted defense. Oregon's 21st. The real difference is Oregon's a little bit better offensively. Like we're talking like 38th versus 53rd. So on paper, Oregon has a really good point guard in Katie Fizo, I believe is how you pronounce it, where she's top 10 in the country in assists. Virginia Tech has that in Mackenzie Nelson. Both of them lead their conference in assists. They've got a post player that's very similar to Kyla Freelon. Really, really good on the glass. She averages 9 rebounds per game. So I think from a balanced matchup standpoint, it is going to be very interesting to see how the Hokies combat it, because on paper, maybe Oregon shoots it a little bit better, but it's not like it's this drastic style clash, if that makes sense.
Well, at any time, Virginia Tech can shoot lights out or not hit anything, and that's the random nature of basketball. So the fact that Oregon shoots it a little bit better, as you know, on any given game, anything can happen. So
yeah.
But the real question is, do you know what Texas's floor looks like? It's not weird, right?
I assume it's just the burnt.
It's not like that Big 12 championship game court, which gives you a seizure if you try to watch it.
Or did you see that article on the court that's made out of glass?
That was at the Big 12.
And then they changed it after the first couple rounds of their tournament.
Man.
Yeah, they went back to the regular court.
I just don't want to have a seizure trying to watch a basketball game.
I think Nick's going to pull up
So Clemson, well, there's Nick in Carolina. And the Hokie player. Okay, there you go.
Yeah, that's a good look.
That's great. Just a standard floor.
It's exactly what you'd expect. The funny thing is, you play at Oregon, and Oregon's got a
paint splash.
Oregon has a very unique floor.
Oh yeah, with the tree,
yes.
The whole tree thing going on.
But,
they still do that.
Yeah,
Ugh.
But
Those are older, by the way, so I know that.
But no, I mean, burnt. It's exactly what you'd expect. Burnt orange.
Whew, that's cool. Okay.
So and that that'll be, I think that'll be a really, really good crowd. Hokies have already played in Texas this year. They went down to SMU and won by 20 or 30. Carly Wenzel's from Texas, so she and Kyla Freelon, who also has family there, they'll have a good support group. If the Hokies were in Columbia, obviously that would be a little bit more travel friendly from their perspective, just in terms of you're talking a couple hour drive, and but at the same time, you get the draw that you get, and I think this sets this. If the Hokies want to win a game in the first round of the NCAA tournament, I think this sets up pretty well, and they've. I mean, you're talking about a program in Oregon that. Kelly Graves, he's been there a dozen years. He had that stretch where Sabrina Ionescu was his point guard.
I'll take your word for it.
And they went to 2 Elite Eights and a Final Four.
Wow.
So they were a solid NCAA tournament team, good program, and I'm very excited. I think this will be just a very balanced, good game, and it's the third game of the tournament. On Friday at 1:30. So
Friday at 1:30
on ESPN2.
That's always fun if you win, but if you lose, you're like, God, I got a whole. Yeah, it's like
already done. And
right.
Some of the other teams haven't even played.
Right, exactly.
I
There's
remember,
like 60 teams left, and you're already done. Yeah.
I remember one year in the men's ACC tournament, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I remember Virginia Tech got the double bye and played last. So Virginia Tech was playing their late at night. They were playing their first game, and at that point there were only 5 teams left in the ACC tournament. Yeah. So it was this weird thing where a ton of teams had been eliminated before Tech even hit the floor.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, it's a nice step up for Megan Duffy's team that will be in the tournament, as we mentioned, Friday at 1:30 p.m. They'll be taking on Oregon. And another team that is definitely ready to go for the postseason. How about Virginia Tech Wrestling? There's 10 names there that are going to be competing for this tournament.
I mean, this is the fourth time in program history. Hokies have had all 10 starters qualify for NCAAs. They're back-to-back ACC tournament champions. They were very, very dominant last weekend in Blacksburg. Cool to have ACC wrestling championships in Castle Coliseum. It was a fantastic turnout. I believe a record crowd. But Hokies are rolling right now, man. It's funny. I think a lot of people came into this wrestling season after the news that Caleb Henson was going to redshirt, and didn't write the Hokies off at all, but kind of said, okay, well, maybe this is we'll see what they can do this year. Maybe they're not rolling out their full team. And of course, at the beginning of the year, it looked like Aaron Seidel was going to redshirt. And man,
what a revelation that guy's been.
Man, that guy.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about a pin or a tech fall.
I mean, he wasn't just
ACC
beating people; he was dominating.
He's only lost once, and that was by 1 point, right?
I believe.
Yeah. Yeah, right.
Yeah, to the 1 seed in his weight class.
Yeah, he won. He beat Tyler Knox, the number 2 seed from Stanford, 18-3, an All-American from last year, 18-3 tech fall in the ACC championship. I think Seidel's been a revelation, but Ventresca's wrestled really, really well. And even guys like Bullock and Sasso, who both won ACC titles, they've both been really, really good. And Colin Guy, I thought, he had a really good match. He won 2-1 in his ACC championship over an NC State guy. But you think, Virginia Tech might have a little bit of a down year, given Caleb Henson's redshirting, and I think that was
waiting for Bo Bassett and his brother to show up.
Yeah, I mean they've got a really good recruiting class coming in, and they're redshirting Caleb Henson for a reason, to kind of stack the boat. And Tony Roby said that, but that doesn't mean they're throwing in the towel for this year.
A punt year, right?
You know who's feeling a little poopy right now is NC State. Virginia Tech decides to chill for a year, and they still beat your butt in a dual meet and in the ACC
Even though you've got the advantage of your players all on in-state scholarship.
That's right.
Virginia, it's the team results from the ACC championship. Virginia Tech 106, Stanford 84, NC State 57.
Yeah.
In third. North Carolina is at fourth at 53.
Right behind NC State.
Yeah.
Did Duke score?
2.
Ooh, yeehaw.
I'll tell you what, if we got invaded tomorrow, I'm sharing my foxhole with Ethan Miller.
Teeth optional.
But I mean, they're really fun. They're really fun guys to watch, and as you can see, some really highly seeded guys in NCAAs. Really job well done by Nick on this graphic. But
Jimmy Mullen's chin is bigger than my entire head. Man,
Big boy.
yeah.
With that, is there anyone on that list that you could see running the table individually?
well, I think Seidel. But also, I mean, Seidel is unique. I think in that he just goes for it, man.
Yeah.
Like he reminds me a little bit of Bryce Andonian.
There you go. I couldn't come up with the name.
But I think and this is coming from, I'm not a wrestling expert by any means, but I always felt like Andonian went for it regardless of like whether he
was ahead or not.
like you saw Andonian get put into some tight situations.
I swear I saw him wrestle one time and he lost like 32-17. It was insane.
I mean, he tried to get takedowns and then he tried to get back out of it. Seidel is such a smart wrestler and goes for it. And it's honestly very funny because Eddie Ventresca is a little bit of the opposite in that you'll see him win matches like his
like methodical.
His finals match was 2-1. Like he just grinds out matches very similar to a Caleb Henson or a Mekhi Lewis, guys who have won national championships.
So on a national level, what's in Ventresca's way? Somebody that he's never beaten, or because when you were asked who had the best shot, you said Aaron Seidel. Why not Ventresca, the 2 seed?
Okay.
So this is, of course, me talking to my best friend Jack Brizendine. From what I've heard, of course, Penn State, their guy is standing in the way of Eddie, but Eddie's beaten basically everybody this season except the Minnesota guy who got him twice, and those are his only 2 losses. And that guy kind of trailed off later in the season.
So that might just be a matchup thing.
Yeah. So Eddie. Now, of course, the wrestling heads out there all hate Eddie because he is boring and he wins. He just grinds out matches in double OT and tiebreakers. But he certainly has best chance. Poor Aaron Seidel, he's got a fantastic chance. But the top 3 seeds, they're also freshmen and they're also absolutely disgusting.
Wow, so that weight class is going to be stacked.
Oh, that weight class is going to be unbelievably entertaining. And so, and any of those guys could win. That's the crazy part.
Yeah.
They're all separated by just a hair, just an absolute hair, 1 through 4.
I mean, Guy, think about it. Guy was the number 3 seed in the ACC tournament
Wow,
and won it, and he was the 4 seed nationally.
That's crazy.
Which kind of tells you how much they take in, winning your conference title a little bit into
Unlike the
perspective.
NCAA tournament bracket,
Yeah, well,
the basketball bracket.
Yeah, but I think Guy's come on really strong lately. And then, I mean, Sasso, he major decision. That was awesome because I believe Sasso kind of it was in the finals in Castle. Tech lost. They started at like 157, I think,
right.
and Miller and Church and Desiante all lost, and then Bullock and then Sasso both came out. Bullock wins 4-1 in sudden victory, and then Sasso just casual over the number 1 seed Angelo Posada, casual 12-2 major decision.
Man.
And Sasso's a guy I could totally see just getting hot. And
I get the feeling, and you guys all follow wrestling more closely than I do, but I get the feeling that this team is peaking this year in a way that previous teams haven't peaked. Like there have always been guys that. Not the entire roster of 10, of course, but there's 1 or 2 or 3 guys that are fading late in the year. And I'm not getting that vibe off of any of these guys.
Yeah, they seem to have a lot of momentum.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
as a team.
To me, there wasn't really a fall off in their dual results. And I think sometimes wrestling can be a little tricky because at the beginning of the year, like before you get into ACC play, you're wrestling in tournaments. So it's all individual stuff, which is like what you'll see at the ACCs and what you'll see in nationals. But team points, of course, matter in those events. But then you get into the regular season of it and you're wrestling in duels. It's one-on-one. You've got 1 match.
Yeah.
It's not like the ACCs where you can if you lose your first match, then you go to the losers bracket, but you still have a chance. Like Jimmy Mullen finished 3rd. He didn't win the ACC title, but he made his way back, major decision in the consolation semis, and then he had a tech fall over a UVA guy in the 3rd place match. So it's unique because you go from wrestling like in duels, one-on-one, you got to beat 1 guy. Yeah. And that adds up for your team to you get to the end of the year and you're wrestling, in tournament settings, and it's a little bit different. But yeah, I think Hokies have been pretty steady all year, and I think their performance, clinching the ACC regular season championship, then winning back-to-back ACC tournament titles, I mean they're in a really good spot right now.
Yeah.
Well, they are nearing the end of their season, but we'll have plenty of representation.
When do nationals start? Thursday, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it's always the opening week of the NCAA basketball tournament. I know.
Yeah.
Yep. Monday, or we're on Monday, March 16th. It's on March 19th is when that will officially begin.
That's in Cleveland, Ohio.
Yes, that indeed as well, up in Cleveland. So they are towards the end of the wrestling side of the season, but towards the start, we have the Diamond Sports. Let's go to softball. They began 22-2, just fell in a series to Duke in ACC play, but they're making their first return to Tech Softball Park this weekend against NC State as well.
And it should be good weather, unlike the
you better not
early
go
part of this week. But yeah, it's projected to be good weather. Unfortunately, lost 2 or 3 to Duke, so maybe Tech should move to the SEC where they clearly don't have any problems beating their teams. But yeah, actually, softball and baseball lost their Friday games and their Saturday games. So Virginia Tech lost the first 4 athletic competitions they had after men's basketball declined the NIT. I just think that's karma. But no, I think Duke's good competition. Will doesn't like Duke softball, as we'll hear shortly. But the ACC's going to be tough, and you're not going to get through it unscathed. And sometimes you learn more about yourself in losses than you do in wins, particularly early in the season.
Yeah, like don't give up 4 runs in the first inning.
Yeah, that generally is not a good harbinger of things to come.
Yeah, I mean they were ranked 11th in the country for a reason. The Hokies, they only had 2 blemishes on their resume, and that was in Charlotte when they were dealing with like a flu bug going around. I mean they swept the Salem Invitational last weekend, swept Georgia, swept Auburn. I mean, they're playing really well, but Duke is also really, really good. And you're going to run into some situations where you got to bring your best stuff in the ACC.
I'm going to push back a little bit on that. I think Kurt is a really good pitcher for Duke. The defense I saw from Duke this weekend was not impressive. They pretty much they got up on Virginia Tech 6-0. I think was that the first game or the second game? That was the first game, and they tried to kick that thing away back to Virginia Tech. Now, Virginia Tech had some timely hitting, but I was not real blown away with Duke overall. I think the problems were more on Virginia Tech's end of Emma Mazarin really struggled with walks in the first game, and that got him into a big hole.
That reminded me of that ACC tournament game up in Boston when they just couldn't get out of that inning. Remember? It wasn't that bad, but that's what it reminded me of.
So I guess they won't see him again. It's not like they'll get to play 3 games against him. They might see him in the ACC tournament or something like that. But we'll see how the rest of it goes. I don't want to shortchange Duke. Curd's good, and they did a better job of timely hitting until day 3 than Virginia Tech did. And that's another thing Virginia Tech struggled with was getting hits in key situations.
Well, the reason I said Duke is good, Duke's ranked. And, I mean, Duke, quality wins this year. Texas A&M, top 10 team. LSU, top 15 team. South Carolina, top 25 team. So, I mean, but to your point, yes, it'll be interesting. The Hokies coming up, as Nick said, or as Chris said, they're home this weekend for the first time all year. NC State, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Get your tickets now, folks. They're going fast.
But they've got a big one in a couple weeks at home, of course, against Clemson, which I think will be really interesting. That'll be first weekend.
That's another program that makes me angry.
First weekend in April.
I'm jealous.
But no, I mean, Sam Mostow, in his story, they got a quote from DeMore where Pete said, quote, "If you look at the totality of the weekend, we hit balls hard all 3 games. We were 3 warning track balls away from taking game 1 and had our opportunities in game 2.
And that's the nature of the diamond sports.
Yeah.
Right?
Did you guys see the play where I don't remember who hit the ball, but it was deep and the Duke center fielder had actually bounced off her glove?
Yeah.
I think it was going to be a home run anyway. I'm not sure though.
I think it was very weird. It was like it was in the glove and then it was out of the glove and then over the wall fence, and it's like home run. Yeah. I mean they're playing well. You can't win them all, I guess.
But I want to win them all.
Especially against Duke.
I get it. Yeah.
So they'll be playing at 6 p.m. on Friday, 2 on Saturday, and noon on Sunday for that series against NC State. Meanwhile, baseball is off to a 9-9 start so far this year. What have you seen from them after they've won some rubber matches in the series?
They're really good. They have more wins than anybody else against ranked teams on Sundays.
Yeah, just play on Sunday.
Yeah, just play on Sundays. So
on the surface, they're 2-4 against a top 5 team, and what was UVA ranked? 14.
What they're ranked. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, so they're 2-4. All
right. So they're going into this past weekend. I don't know what their number is now, but they had a 8.72 ERA or 8.27 ERA.
Spoiler alert, that's not good.
And like the next worst ERA in the ACC was 6.
Right now, Tech's ERA is 8.05.
Oh, so it got a little bit better. Wow.
On Sunday.
So
opponents have an ERA against Tech of 5.13.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, and college baseball ERAs, they're not quite. You're not going to see them at the same level as like professional ERAs because you got aluminum bats and the defenses aren't as good. But over 8 is decidedly not good, no matter how you slice it. Pitching has always been Virginia Tech's problem. when Virginia Tech's most recent NCAA tournament appearances, they've had really good pitching staffs and they've had good pitching depth. But it's been a struggle for Virginia Tech to put together a good, deep pitching staff for as long as I've been following the program. They have some issues this year with, and they changed. Remember, they changed their pitching coach. They've built a pitching lab, and the pitching still hasn't been good. Now, they've got one starter coming back from injury, and others a freshman. But overall, they don't have good depth there. And this year in particular is tough because remember the roster limits. Everybody has roster limits now and not scholarship limits. So you can put all 34 players on your roster on scholarship. And my understanding is Tech is not there for baseball right now. And a lot of these other ACC schools that take baseball seriously, you can be darn sure they are there or they're close to it. Yeah. I've heard Tech is actually pretty competitive NIL for baseball, but as far as the scholarship stuff goes, they're not there yet. I think they will be next year. It just seems like Virginia Tech's a year late on all these new rules and everything.
That's a different podcast.
That's a different podcast. But I don't think this year's probably not something you can blame John Sheff on, because this year in particular, the resources for the programs that he's facing are vastly different.
Yeah, so in general, that segues into something I've been thinking about that's not really baseball related. One of the things you're seeing in college basketball is you're seeing programs keep coaches that would otherwise get fired.
Yeah.
Pitt. Wake Forest. There's somebody I'm forgetting. But this is because these are programs that their resources are stretched, and the last thing they want to do right now is go into the market trying to hire a basketball coach, Forbes at Wake Forest, who's going to come in demanding a lot of NIL money at a time when you're Virginia Tech, you just hired a high-profile football coach who is demanding is a negative word, who's commanding a lot of NIL money. If you're Virginia Tech, the last thing you want to do is go shopping for a new basketball coach right now. And there's a lot of schools in that same boat.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And the other thing for Virginia Tech, and this has been an issue no matter who the coach is, because there are certain things you can't change, like weather. And if you're a pitcher, dude, the wind in that stadium is always blowing 15 or 20 miles out to left center field. Sometimes gusting as high as 40 miles an hour, right? It's not the best pitcher's park in the country. Combine that with, I think it's probably the highest altitude stadium in the ACC.
The air is thinner.
Yeah, so it's just not exactly a pitcher's park. Now, this past week's series was on the road, but just a general.
But the wind was blowing at UVA just like it blows at Virginia Tech.
That's right. And I think that makes it a little bit more difficult for Virginia Tech to recruit. Maybe got to money ball it a little bit, get some guys who are really good at keeping the ball down and getting ground balls. But that's harder these days because everybody's doing launch angles and things like that from a hitter's perspective. But just generally speaking, historically, pitching has been a problem for Virginia Tech. I answered a question about that in my Friday Q&A last week, and I went over Virginia Tech's
the written version or the video.
Written version, okay. And I went over Virginia Tech's pitching staff from 2013 and how they went 5 deep in starters. Joe Manaply was on that staff, and he spent 8 years in the majors. I don't think he's on a roster this spring, but he was in the majors last year, and he spent a long time in the majors. Started a World Series game, made an All-Star game. He was the headliner of that staff. And you had 2 other starters, weekend starters, make it to AAA. And then your weekday starters made it to high A and double A. So that was a really good, deep staff. Hitting is hardly ever a problem for Virginia Tech. They always have enough hitting. They never quite have enough pitching.
Tech's bullpen has been okay this year. I think at times it showed up at this weekend a little bit,
especially yesterday.
Yeah, but Friday, Ethan Grimm, who I believe is a true freshman,
he is. Yeah.
He was pitching pretty well. Went through 3 and only he'd given up 4 hits, but only 1 earned run, 3 total runs, but 1 earned because Tech had 4 defensive errors, and then he got hurt. Chef said after the game, I think that it was a flexor thing, which I believe is in your hand,
which hurts depth even more if he's out for an
period
of time.
And your ace is Brett Renfro, who they moved him to Saturday, and he only went 2 innings and gave up 7 earned
Right.
this Saturday after struggling last Saturday against Georgia Tech. Now, it doesn't help that Tech's opened the season against a top 5
Maybe the
team
2 best teams. So who knows?
Yeah, a top 5 team in Georgia Tech on the road and a top 15 team against Virginia on the road. And I think they did a good job of bouncing back and rallying. And Griffin Stig pitched really, really well on Sunday.
He's the one coming back from injury.
Yeah.
So you'll see him progressively probably get better as he puts that injury behind him and gets his innings count up.
Yeah, but I mean, he threw 6 innings yesterday and struck out 7 and only gave up 3 hits.
Yeah.
And one or total run. In a situation like this, I mean, you think back to that like 2022 team. Obviously, a lot of really, really good hitting, but I think they found the pitching late in the year. Like they had some balance, but the great hitting was able to make up for it, compensate for it a lot of times.
That lineup was insane.
Yeah, I mean,
Carson DeMartini was hitting 9th.
Yeah,
that's how good that lineup
You're talking about a
was.
lot of guys who are playing in the minors somewhere, right? Or may get called up to the majors soon. I look at it's like in a situation like this when your starting pitching hasn't been as good, you got to make up for it and hit somewhere. And they just haven't really been able to do that so far this year. But they've got Duke at home this weekend. They're back in Blacksburg. Next 2 ACC series are in Blacksburg, Stanford next weekend. So they've got an okay ACC schedule, just a rocky start with 2 really good teams. You just hope their confidence isn't shot from going to Atlanta and going to Charlottesville and facing really, really good offenses.
The good thing is, like, you did show you could win one of those games in each series.
Yes.
Right.
Well, we've certainly talked a whole lot of sports today, so I also want to throw in that the spring game for Virginia Tech football will be Saturday, April 18th.
Spring ball starts tomorrow.
And we know that's a 3 p.m. spring game, free to the public on that day. So,
so Riley, let me jump in here and address the fans directly. And I say this from time to time. We hear about the podcast a lot. So there's a lot of people out there that watch the podcast, and we appreciate that. But if you want good, in-depth stuff and you want to follow all the programs closely, or if you just want to support what we do and enable what we do on the podcast, we make off of YouTube revenue and Spotify revenue, we make maybe $3,000 a month in ad revenue off those 2 platforms. We got 5 guys working full time on this machine, and they're supported by subscriptions to the website. So go to techsideline.com if you like what we do here on the podcast. Subscribe. You won't regret it. It's great content. It is, what are we? Are we $12 a month on $120 a year? Try it out. I always say the same thing. Subscribe. If you don't like it, I'll give you your money back because, I believe that you're going to like it. So I wanted to get that in there.
Yeah. With that being said, what can we expect to see on techsideline.com real soon?
Well, I'm headed to Texas
Yeah,
for women's
Texas.
basketball.
Yep.
Well, you say this. We're recording this morning. Andy's not here because I believe there's a
football press conference here in about an hour.
Yeah,
so.
well, I was going to say we're talking to James Franklin, but also planning a football podcast later this week.
I'm going to write a football article tomorrow, just general about spring practice starting. And I think Andy's got some leftover stuff from
Assistant coach interviews.
Coach interviews. Also, I think Andy wanted us to share that he also thinks skipping the NIT was lame. I think he put that.
Yes,
in
he
the
did.
slide.
He said, please make it known that that missing that declining the NIT bit is lame.
Yeah. Okay.
So, yeah, but
I think we have a pretty strong general consensus.
We have a quorum here.
Yeah, I think it's funny. I went to edit Chris's article. Chris texted me and was like, I saw Chris's post on the boards. Chris is like, hey, I'm going to write this column on Saturday. I'm like, Saturday? Dang, Chris must have like really strong feelings about this if like he's spending like his Saturday afternoon writing it. And Chris afterwards is like, he's like, I'm so done. Like, he's like, I need to go downtown.
I did. I went downtown. That's the first time.
And that's all anybody wanted to talk about was the NIT,
my
right?
dry streak since football season is over, with the exception of New Year's. Yeah, that's what they've drove me to do this past weekend.
Well, but I did not realize, like, I got on the message boards after posting Chris's article, and And I got on the boards and I was like, man, like that was all anyone was talking about.
Yeah.
All over the boards.
Yeah.
And I was just like, and I felt bad because I went over to the women's basketball board and people are all cheery and like, so when are we getting selected? I'm like,
Ooh, different world over here.
yeah, much different world. So yeah, I'm heading down to Texas on Wednesday. So plenty of women's basketball content. We'll of course have baseball, softball for you as well. Wrestling, a lot of stuff going on, except for men's basketball.
Well, let's round it out, Nick. Anything on the audio video side we should know?
Yeah, we've got a packed schedule this week. 2 special guests that we're nailing down right now. One a coach and one a former coach. Right? Yeah.
We are working on it.
And yeah, we're working on it. It'll be great. And then we'll have Talking with Teal and a football podcast probably tomorrow, recapping everything old James Franklin said today.
Hey, so Riley, a little further down the road, starting next month, so not too far down the road, Bud Foster has agreed to come on a couple of times a month. And we don't know what we're going to call it. We're just going to be hanging out with Bud. It's going to be sponsored by Lunch Pail Ventures.
You should just call it hanging out with Bud.
Yeah, if they didn't have like the smoke alarms up there, we could smoke some Bud Foster cigars while we're just talking about football.
Well, it's got to have alliteration though, like banging with Bud or, whatever. We'll come up with something, but that is going to be wide open. People are like, what is it going to be about?
Oh, I've started a document where I'm making up topics and stuff.
So the reason
Is
I
it going to
bring
be
that,
you two and Bud?
Yeah.
I guess, yeah. And we'll pull Andy in some. We'll
Yeah.
pull you if you want to come in. It's going to be pretty wide open. So the reason I bring it up is for people who listen to the podcast and watch the podcast, get your questions and topics for Bud. And this is open-ended. The Lunch Pail Ventures sponsorship goes through June, but they're going to love this so much that they're going to renew. So this is going to go on for a long time, and Bud's looking forward to it. So it should be a lot of fun. Should be some good regular content for us.
Yeah, that's some great stuff. Make sure to check that out once we begin that. And we appreciate you for watching this one, episode 474 of the Tech Sideline podcast. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and refer the show to a friend if you haven't already. For Chris Coleman, Will Stewart, David Cunningham, and Nick Brown behind the scenes, I'm Riley Klaus saying so long for now.